Today we are going to talk about the basic knowledge of grid dispatching procedures, basic knowledge of grid dispatching procedures, the significance of compiling dispatching procedures, how power generation, supply, transmission, transformation, distribution, and consumption facilities of the power grid, as well as the protection and safety, automatic devices, metering devices, power communication facilities, and power grid automation facilities required to ensure the normal operation of these facilities are closely connected as a whole. The power grid dispatching system includes dispatching organizations at all levels and duty units of the operation of power plants and stations in the power grid, in accordance with the Electric Power Law of the People's Republic of China. Procedures on power grid dispatching management and relevant procedures in order to strengthen power grid dispatching management and ensure the safe, high quality and economic operation of power grid and protect user interests. The dispatching procedures of power system of the dispatching agency shall be formulated according to the principle of unified dispatching and hierarchical management, and in combination with actual conditions of power grid at all levels. The Power Grid Dispatching Agency is the organization, command, guidance and coordination agency for the operation of the power grid. The dispatching agency of the State Grid Corporation of China is divided into 5 levels, followed by the State Grid Dispatching Agency and the State Power Dispatching and Communication Center, abbreviated as the State Dispatching, and Interprovincial, Autonomous Region and Municipal Level Power Grid Dispatching Agency, abbreviated as the Grid Dispatching, the Provincial, Autonomous Region and Municipal Level Power Grid Dispatching Agency, abbreviated as the Provincial Dispatching, the Provincial, Provincial Level and Municipal Level Power Grid Dispatching Agency, abbreviated as the Local Dispatching, the County Level Power Grid Dispatching Agency, abbreviated as the County Dispatching. The compilation of the dispatching procedures not only establishes that the dispatching agencies at all levels have a hierarchical relationship between each other in the dispatching business activities of the power grid, which means the subordinate dispatching agencies must obey the dispatching of the superior dispatching agencies, but also makes it clear that dispatching procedures are applicable to the power grid and all power generation support consumption units incorporated into the power grid are relevant leaders of the power generation, applied consumption units, the personnel on duty for the operation of the dispatching system, and the relevant professional and technical personnel shall be familiar with and abide by the procedures within the grid and obey the dispatching of dispatching agency within the dispatching jurisdiction. The dispatching management procedures of the National Interconnected Power Grid are applicable to dispatching operation, power grid operation, accident handling, and dispatching business contacts, which involves various professional activities related to dispatching operation. The procedures on power grid dispatching issued by various power production and operation units shall not conflict with the procedures by operation and management personnel at various power grid dispatching agencies related to the operation of the National Interconnected Power Grid, as well as the power generation, transmission and transformation units directly regulated by the National Power Grid, must comply with this regulation. Non-grid dispatchers are required to comply with this regulation for all activities related to the dispatching and operation of the National Interconnected Power Grid. 1.1 To constraint objects of dispatching procedures. The dispatching procedures are the basic requirements for organizing, directing, and coordinating operation of power grid which are to ensure the safe operation of power grid and continuous and reliable power supply and heating, and the electricity quantity to meet the standards stipulated by the state, to implement optimal dispatching according to the principle of optimizing the allocation of resources in the maximum range, and to give full play to the legitimate rights and the interests of all parties involved in power generation, supply and consumption in the grid. Therefore, the constraint objects of the dispatching procedures include national dispatching, grid dispatching, provincial dispatching, local dispatching, and county dispatching. The dispatching agencies at all levels are not only restricted by the dispatching procedures at the corresponding level, but also restricted by superior dispatching departments. The main responsibilities of the dispatching agencies at all levels are as follows. The main responsibilities of the national dispatching: first, conduct professional management technical supervision of the national interconnected power grid system. Second, compile and issue monthly power generation, transmission, and reception plans, as well as daily power consumption plans of the jurisdictional system based on the annual plans. Third, compile and implement the operation mode of the jurisdiction system on the year, months, and day, as well as on special days and holidays. Fourth, responsible for the organizing measures for spot transactions between trans-regional power grids, and the verification and settlement of the power exchange. Fifth, compile the maintenance plan of the equipment under the jurisdiction. Accept and approve the maintenance application of the equipment within the scope of jurisdiction and permission. Sixth, responsible for commanding the operation of equipment within the jurisdiction. Seventh, command the accident handling within the jurisdiction system, analyze the power grid accidents, formulate measures to improve power grid safety, and stabilize the operation level, and organize the implementation of measures. 8. Command the frequency adjustment of the interconnected power grid, regulate the voltage adjustment of the jurisdictional power grid, and control the power transmission and reception of the jurisdictional interconnection lines. 9. Responsible for the relay protection, the management for the operation of safety automatic devices, and dispatching automation equipment, and the coordination for the operation of communication equipment within the jurisdiction. 10. Participate in the review of the long-term planning and engineering design of the national interconnected power grid. 11. Accept and approve the application for new or renovated jurisdictional equipment to be put into operation. Compile the startup, debugging, and dispatching plans for a new equipment, and organize their implementation. 12. Participate in signing the grid connection agreement of the jurisdiction system, and be responsible for compiling and signing the corresponding grid connection dispatching agreement, which should be strictly implemented. 13. Compile the dispatching plans for the power generation of the hydropower stations and reservoirs under jurisdiction, and participate in coordinating the relationship between hydropower generation and flood control, shipping, and water supply, etc. 14. Responsible for the assessment of duty personnel of the National Interconnected Power Grid Dispatching System. The main responsibilities of grid dispatching: 1. Accept the dispatching orders from the National Dispatching Agency. 2. Responsible for implementing professional management and technical supervision within its jurisdiction. 3. Responsible for commanding the operation and accident handling within its jurisdiction. 4. Responsible for the organization and implementation of spot trading in the electricity market of this network, as well as the assessment and settlement of electricity quantity. 5. Responsible for commanding the frequency regulation, peak shaving, and voltage adjustment of the power grid under its jurisdiction. 6. Responsible for organizing, compiling, and executing the annual, monthly, and daily operation modes of the power grid under its jurisdiction, approving the operation modes of the summer power grid and the connected parts of the main power grid, and implementing the operation and maintenance modes of interregional power grid interconnection lines issued by the National Dispatching Agency. 7. Responsible for compiling monthly and daily power generation and supply dispatching plans for the power grid under its jurisdiction, and then to be executed, supervising the implementation of power generation and supply plans, and urging its adjustment, inspection, and assessment. Also responsible for executing the monthly and the daily power transmission and reception plans of the interregional interconnection issued by the national power grid. 8. Responsible for the safe and stable operation of the power grid under its jurisdiction, as well as managing and organizing stability calculations, compiling the control plans for the safety and stability of power grid under its jurisdiction, participating in accident analysis, proposing measures to improve safety and stability, and supervising its implementation. 9. Responsible for economic dispatch management of the power grid and power loss management within its jurisdiction, preparing economic dispatch plans, proposing loss reduction measures, and gradually implementing them. 10. Responsible for the relay protection and for the operation and management of safety automatic devices, communication and automation equipment in the power grid under its jurisdiction. 11. Responsible for dispatching power generation of hydropower stations and reservoirs under its dispatching jurisdiction, preparing reservoir dispatching scheme, timely transfer opinions, and power generation plans, participating in coordinating the relationship between the power generation of the main hydropower stations and flood control, irrigation, navigation, and water supply, etc., of accept and approve applications for the input and operation of new or renovated key equipment, and prepare the plans for the startup, debugging, and dispatching of the new equipment, and organize its implementation. 13. Participate in the review of the long-term planning and engineering design of the national interconnected power grid. 14. Participate in signing the jurisdictional system grid connection agreement. Be responsible for preparing and signing the corresponding grid connection dispatching agreement and strictly implement it. 15. Exercise other responsibilities granted by the Superior Power Grid Management Department and the National Dispatching Agency. 3rd. The main responsibilities of the Provincial Dispatching Agency. 1. Responsible for the safe, high quality, and economic operation of the Provincial Dispatching Agency and its dispatching management. 2. Organize the preparation and execution of annual, monthly, and daily dispatching and operation plans for the power grid. 3. And the operation of equipment within its dispatch and jurisdiction. 4. According to the instructions of the power grid dispatching, adjust the peak load frequency or control the power flow of the interconnection line, as well as be responsible for the operation and management of reactive power and the voltage within its jurisdiction. 5. Command the handling of provincial power grid accidents. Be responsible for analyzing power grid accidents, formulate and implement the measures in an organized way to improve the safe operation level of the power grid. 6. Participate in the preparation of annual maintenance plans for equipment within the jurisdiction and arrange months, mid, and daily maintenance plans based on the annual maintenance plan. 7. Responsible for professional management of provincial power grid relay protection and safety automatic devices, power grid dispatching automation, and power communication systems, and providing technical guidance on the configuration of above-mentioned equipment devices under the jurisdiction of the dispatching agencies in summer. 8. Participate in the preparation of provincial dispatching plans and the feasibility study and design review of power grid engineering projects. Approve the connection of new construction, expansion, and renovation projects to the power grid for operation. Participate in the acceptance of engineering projects and be responsible for formulating the new equipment operation and testing plans. 9. Participate in the preparation of annual plans for power production. Organize the preparation and implementation of monthly and daily dispatching production plans based on the annual and monthly plans, combined with the actual situation of the power grid, and be responsible for implementing a statistical assessment of relevant indicators, and responsible for commanding the economic operation of the provincial power grid and managing high-voltage power losses within its jurisdiction. 11. Responsible for formulating the load-shedding schedule for accidents and exceeding planned electricity usage, and implementing it after approval by relevant departments of the provincial government. 12. Organize business training for personnel related to the dispatching system and hold dispatching meetings. 13. Coordinate the rational utilization of hydropower plants and reservoirs in a unified way. 14. Responsible for signing grid connection dispatching agreements with relevant units. 15. Coordinate other relationships related to the operation of the power grid under its jurisdiction. 16. Exercise other powers approved or granted by the management department of as Power Grid Management Department or the Superior Dispatching Agency. 4th, the main responsibilities of the local dispatching agency. 1. Responsible for the dispatching management of the local power grid and implement the dispatching orders issued by the higher-level dispatching agencies. Execute the relevant standards and procedures formulated by the Superior Dispatching Organization and relevant departments at higher levels. Be responsible for formulating relevant rules and procedures for the power grid operation in this region, and assessment methods for the dispatching management at county level, and report to the provincial dispatching agency for filing. To participate in formulating the technical measures and procedures for power grid operation in the region. 3. Maintain safe, high-quality and economic operation of local power grid. Generate power and supply power according to planned contract procedures, and report the power grid operation information according to the requirements of the provincial dispatching agency. 4. Organize the preparation and implementation of the operation mode of the local power grid. If the operation mode involves the equipment under the jurisdiction of the higher dispatching agency, it shall be reported to this dispatching agency for approval. 5. According to the daily power supply dispatching plan issued by the provincial dispatching agency, formulate, issue, and dispatch the daily power supply dispatching plan of the local power grid. Supervise the implementation of the plan and approve the maintenance of equipment within the dispatching jurisdiction. 6. According to the instructions by the provincial dispatching agency, carry out peak regulation and frequency modulation or control tie-line power flow, command and implement, and evaluate dispatching and voltage regulation of power grid. 7. Responsible for commanding operation accident handling within its dispatching jurisdiction. 8. Responsible for dividing the dispatching jurisdiction of time-limited dispatching agencies under the jurisdiction of this area. 9. Responsible for formulating the sequence table of the load shedding for the power grid exceeding the plan and power grid accidents in the region, which shall be implemented after approval by the people's government at the corresponding level. 10. Participate in the preparation of local power grid planning. Approve the new expansion and reconstruction projects to connect the power grid operation, participate in the acceptance of the projects, and be responsible for formulating a new equipment commissioning and test scheme. 11. Responsible for and the planning, operation management and technical management of relay protection safety automatic devices, power communication, and power grid dispatching automation system rules for the local and county power grids. 12. Responsible for relevant units to sign the grid connection dispatching agreements within their jurisdiction. 13. Responsible for the professional training of the personnel on duty of the power grid dispatching system in the region, and be responsible for the professional guidance and technical training of the personnel on duty of the power grid dispatching system in the counties under its jurisdiction. Exercise other functions and powers granted by the higher power grid management department or the higher dispatching agency. 5th, the main responsibilities of the grid dispatching agency, responsible for the dispatching management of the power grid in this county and city, implement relevant procedures formulated by the higher level dispatching departments, be responsible for formulating relevant rules and procedures of this county's power grid, maintain the safe, high quality and economic operation of this county's power grid, generate and supply power according to plans and contract provisions, and report power grid operation information according to the requirements of the higher level dispatching agency. 3. Responsible for formulating and issuing daily power supply dispatching plan that can be adjusted according to the daily power supply dispatching plan issued by the local dispatching agency, supervise the implementation of the plan, approve the maintenance of equipment within its dispatching jurisdiction, and report to the superior dispatching agencies for approval. If operation mode involves within dispatching jurisdiction, for according to the instructions of the superior dispatching, carry out peak regulation and frequency modulation, or control the timeline power flow, command, and implement and evaluate the peak regulation and voltage regulation of the county power grid. 5. Responsible for commanding operation and accident handling within the dispatching jurisdiction, participate in the formulation, operation management, and technical management of relay protection and safety automatic devices, power communication, power grid dispatching automation system planning in this county, responsible for providing business guidance and training to the on-duty personnel of the county's power grid dispatching system. 1.313 The main content that the dispatching procedure should include. Dispatch procedures are planning documents for organizing, directing, and coordinating the operation of the power grid due to the different functions and scope of dispatch agencies at all levels. The content involved in the dispatching procedures varies, however, to ensure the safe, high quality, and economic operation of the power grid. The dispatch procedures generally include the following main contents. 1. General provisions includes the formulation, basis, purpose, management principles, institutional settings, jurisdiction, and constraint objects of the dispatching procedures. 2. Dispatching management includes dispatching management tasks, the main responsibilities of various levels of dispatching under its jurisdiction, principles of division, of dispatching jurisdiction, dispatching management system, requirements for compiling power grid operation, main aspects and contents of the management of power grid stability, maintenance management methods, requirements and methods for power quality management, management procedures for power grid frequency and reactive power adjustment, task prediction, requirements for load management, principles and division of labor and main work of the management of power grid economic operation, principles and methods of reservoir dispatch management, management of synchronous parallel devices, dispatching management of new equipment production, grid connection management requirements, operation management of relay protection and safety automatic devices, management of dispatch communication, management procedures for power grid dispatch automation, etc. 3. Dispatching operations include operation management and basic operating systems, parallel connection and disconnection operations, line outage operations, transformer operation, and bus operation procedures. Basic principles for accident handling, pointing out abnormal frequencies, abnormal voltage induced circuit breaker trip accidents, transformer accidents, contact line overload, abnormal switch and bus voltage loss, generator trip, power grid disconnection, equipment overload, handling methods for accidents like system oscillation, power grid blackstart methods, and procedures when communication is lost, etc. Okay, that's all for this lesson. See you next time.